Right now, we want to get back to our big story this morning. President Biden's decision not to run for re-election. That decision brings up a lot of questions, especially with the Democratic National Convention only about a month away. So right now, we want to continue our conversation with Seth Maskett.
Yeah, he is a professor of political science at DU. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
So let's start with the president. What kind of impact do you think his decision has now on his base?
I mean, just from what I've seen so far, his base seems a lot more enthusiastic and very excited about this shift. There were clearly a lot of people who were still very supportive of Biden, but were worried he wasn't up to this task. They were really bothered by his performance in the debate last month. And even if they didn't want him to step down, they were kind of worried about going forward. This seems to resolve a lot of that. There seems to be a lot of enthusiasm in the base for Kamala Harris at this point.
People are going to hear two words a lot as of late, and that is open convention. Can you explain to us what that's going to mean when it comes to the DNC next month and what it means to primary voters who chose Biden on the ballots?
Well, sure. So the Democratic Convention is next month in Chicago. All the primaries and caucuses that happened on the Democratic side this last winter and spring, those were all just to pick delegates for that convention. So there's a little over 4,000 Democratic delegates are going to be there. Almost all of them have been pledged to support Joe Biden. Now that Biden is not going to be a candidate, theoretically, they can choose whomever they want. Now, it looks like they're probably just going to all converge around Kamala Harris. That seems to be the way things are going. But at least in theory, other candidates could offer their names, and it would be kind of an open contest. It would be, people could make arguments. Democrats and these delegates could sort of negotiate with each other about who they really want, and they're free to vote for whomever they want at this point.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. You mentioned Kamala Harris, of course. She is Biden's choice for the nomination, but that doesn't make her the de facto nominee here. So what has to happen for her to get that nomination?
Well, a lot of what we've seen really over the last, almost 24 hours since Biden stepped out, which is that a lot of prominent Democrats have come out and endorsed her, including many of the people who would have probably been running for president otherwise. A number of prominent senators, House members, governors, and others have just sort of come forward and saying Kamala Harris is their candidate. And importantly, pretty much no one else has offered their name as a candidate. So if that sort of thing continues forward, I think we're going to see, her just become sort of the de facto nominee for the lack of any other real candidates. There's also not all that much time to organize a campaign for anyone else. It's going to be hard to raise money. It's going to be hard to impress that many delegates who are already sort of leaning in one direction. But really, it doesn't become official until the convention actually votes on it next month.
Okay, real quick, because campaigns obviously are already preparing for potential criticism if she does, in fact, become the nominee. She would be potentially the first female president of the United States. Of course, Hillary Clinton came close to this. Do you think that Harris would face the same kind of criticism or rhetoric that Clinton did? Is that something campaigns are looking at right now?
I mean, unfortunately, yes, there would be some of that. I like to think we've learned a little bit from when Hillary Clinton ran several years ago. But yeah, she would be facing some of the criticism that women often get when they run for high office, complaints about her voice or that she's irrational or something like that. There would also be the added aspect of her race. And there would probably be, intimations that maybe she's somehow ineligible to run or there's something illegitimate about her candidacy. Those things will be thrown around. That doesn't mean they're going to be effective arguments. Probably this will come down to, how well she is able to make a case for what Democrats have been able or not been able to do over the last 4 years, the state of the economy, people's contentment with the state of the country. Ultimately, that's, I think, what this race is going to be based on.
So, Seth, we only have a few more seconds here, but I do want to talk about the other side. Obviously, this affects everyone, not just Democrats. So let's talk about Trump. How do you think that his campaign will now shift after Biden's departure?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because they just had a whole week of messaging about how Joe Biden is old, he has no business running, and suddenly they got what they wanted and they don't know what to do. They're the dog that caught the car. I think we're going to see them pivot to, trying to come up with specific criticisms of Harris, maybe focusing on, a relatively short public career in office before running for president, the fact that she ran for president and, her campaign didn't go that well in 2020. They'll come up with a whole range of things. I'm sure their opposition researchers are working on it right now, and they still have 4 months to make those arguments. But it is a pretty quick pivot, and it's not the race that they were planning to run.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Of course, in the coming days, a lot of news going to come out of this. Seth, thank you for helping us get some more context to what is going on right now. We appreciate you waking up early.
Sure thing.